All right. Hey, everyone. I'm LeiLani Cauthen, Learning Counsel, News, Media, and Research. I'm here in San Diego. It's sunny and wonderful for all you people watching this video now on the East Coast where they're snowed in. I feel sorry for you because we're having a great time out here, right? Okay, so I have with me, Dr. David Miyashiro, who's the Superintendent of Cajon Valley Union School District. You've been here for, what, 11 years? Yeah. That's a long tour of duty in superintendency, so let's just acknowledge that. That's amazing. Dr. Benjamin Churchill, Superintendent Carlsbad,
Yep.
Unified School District. And then coming in, batting for the San Diego County Office of Education, my longtime friend, Dr. Alicia Gallegos-Butters, Director of Educational Technology. Thank you for being with us. I know you guys have had some shift around too, because some of my other friends are not there anymore, and there's new ones.
Yes, so we now have an innovation division, which we never had before. So it's been since right before COVID. And right before COVID, in October of 2019, we bought a building that we called the Linda Vista Innovation Center. And we were all set to move in March of 2020. And that was going to be our place that we really were going to start to train students in a lot of the world of work curriculum, CTE, basing a lot of the work in CTE. And then that COVID hit and everything went to a stop. So at this point, we're really building it out. We're having students come visit. Dr. Matt Tessier is now our leader in the innovation division. And so we have had some changes.
Yes, you have. I think it's for the best. I think it made everybody stop and think. And we're doing good. Okay, so let's go back to what we were just going to talk about for a little bit. And let's throw that question back at you guys. So you heard my discussion about form follows function. And we're in the middle of a function difference of all communication patterns being flattened like the internet has flattened. We're not any longer in hierarchical bureaucracies, and the effect is on everything in life. And the end game of that flattening is the change of structure of institutions, I think including in this century governments. I don't know where that's going, but there's a change there. And the balancing issue is our humanity. So you touched on that just a minute. So did you. I'm going to throw it at Dr. Churchill first. Yeah. Let's talk about that form follows function and the balance and the being more human now. Like, what is happening for that for you?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think for a long time we've had this discussion about the use of technology in schools, right? Mm-hmm. And for a long time, I think our schools that have been most successful, our teachers that have been most successful, have always acknowledged from day one that technology is simply a tool, right? But the people continue to be the most important component within the system. What you're talking about now are wholesale changes to systems, right? And people have to be at the center of that, right? Humanity has to be at the center of those large-scale structural systems shifts. And while I don't know what that looks like yet, I do believe absolutely in the power of people and great creative minds who can help us move forward.
Yes, and I would go so far as to clarify where I'm coming from on that particular point, and that is, I think we've gone to the point, and I don't think all schools are there yet, where we need to evolve so that we have centralized systems that are the distribution and the management and the logistics of all the informational things and the AI that's going to serve the personalization and the look at this and here's a remediation and everything else in such a way that we become majestically technologically organized so that we can take our humans and use them just for their humanity, right, and really a little bit for their skill in knowledge, but competing against the open internet and AI, that's going to be really hard. But right, for their humanity, which means we're going to have to elevate our humanness. So it's a little bit, it's yes, people say technology is a tool. I want to take you past that. I want to say technology is now the structure, the distribution pattern, the thing, and then the humans array against that to go, I think I know what's happening with you on your math lesson, and I'm going to eyeball you, drag you aside, hold your hand, we're going to have a moment, and then you're going to get it. right? It's going to be awesome. And then we're also going to have emotional stuff, and we're going to learn to be human, because the technology is so spot on. So when I hear people say tool, I'm sorry, I'm grabbing onto this a little bit too much. It's just a tool. I kind of cringe a little bit on that, only because what that says to me is you're not willing to change structure. You want to layer on a 250-year-old structure or manufacturing line a tool. I don't want to do that. I think that the way that we have to go is structure through technology and logistics, change the way you use space and time, aim at complete individual pace-based learning that's going to use spatial temporal AI the way Uber uses it, to intersect you and me and 3 other kids at the same point as us in this moment of teaching. So I still have humanity, but now I've got a perfected humanity. It is like perfectly adjusted to me in the moment that I need it, and then I go on to the next lesson and I'm skating forward. That's different than a tool.
Absolutely. So yes.
Okay.
And the challenge in my mind, the thing that I wonder about the most is what will be the moment that pushes systems to know and understand that they have to change. Inertia is a very real thing. Earlier today, you made a comment about Amazon. Once Amazon came on the scene, everybody else was forced to change the way they do ordering and logistics and shipping, et cetera, right? What is the thing going to be that pushes school systems to do something differently? Because while I think we can find lots of examples of places where the system isn't working, and we see these large forces in terms of lower birth rate, fewer kids coming to school, other options other than traditional schools, not enough teachers, all the things that you mentioned.
School choice, a train barreling down the road at us,
So that's real in very many places, but not all places. What will it take to get enough folks to be able to move away from traditional structures? Like there are systems set up to keep the status quo going with the status quo. So I'm just interested, where?
I see that exactly. Yeah. I'll tell you, in our travels all around the country, and then we're going to grab you guys and throw you into the fray. But some people are on the desperate edge. You guys aren't. I'm just going to say it. You're not yet.
Yeah, no.
You're not there yet.
No.
I'm still going to hit you up, right? So move. But as we go around the country's Learning Counsel research, and we see it in the survey responses too, there are a lot of superintendents and indeed whole, schools and districts. They're on the desperate edge. Yeah. They cannot get the people. St. Rain, you probably know the guys in Denver, Kill Charles and his people up there. Their districts around them rurally, they've adopted. Because they've got rural ones that are so they cannot get the teaching they need. So they're now moving into what I told them they would eventually is the gig economy. They're in a share. They're sharing their teachers over the internet with rural America. My prediction is that you could have some English teachers move out because it's too expensive to live here, and they're going to live 4 counties away in the state or maybe even Nevada, and you're not going to get them either fairly soon. Okay, cost of living, everything else is going to change everything. And the outflux of humanity from cities is accelerating. All the commercial retail is empty everywhere you go. Yeah. So I think we're really in that moment. But it's not going to happen in some places for a while. First of all, your weather here is glorious. Nobody wants to ever leave San Diego.
But you can't afford to live here.
But you can't afford to live here, so you're like, could I commute? But you definitely have people that are going to fall over this cliff this year. And I've had, some of them, I won't name their name, but it's Prince George's County over in Virginia. They got 90 kids a class. They cannot get the teachers. So some places are going to they're going to fall in right away. And we were just in Phoenix. We've got a school district out there. They're innovators like you guys are. They know it's coming for them. They don't want to be behind the 8 ball.
Well, and so that's my one last question for you. Is it only a crisis that drives school systems to do this change?
I hope not.
I hope not too. What are some actionable strategies for schools and school district leaders to get in front of this?
Pilot. Pilot new ways to architect.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
We can go into that. I don't want to exhaust this particular thing, because I want these guys to weigh in. What are your thoughts on this whole thing?
I think what drives a school or system to make change is the humanity behind it. So I think you have to look at what's happening, and there has to be people out there who have enough humanity to say this has got to change. And we can't go on as a system leaving people behind.
Yeah.
And I think if that is lost, then we can't move forward. And something that I'm very proud about my work, there's a lot that I'm proud about, but at the San Diego County Office of Ed, our goal is to reduce poverty within San Diego County by 20% by 2030. And
that's pretty lofty when your job is
huge.
Education.
And
You know?
through education, we believe we can eliminate generational poverty.
That's amazing.
And we have to educate, and that's because people have looked at what's happening within San Diego County, and they're seeing that generational poverty, and they see that we can't change our situation within San Diego County unless we really look at the roots. And that looks at why are our students continuously not getting out of that. And it's because they're not seeing themselves in these positions, these jobs that they can. They don't know. They don't know that one day they could go to high school, get some certificates, actually get a job that could get them through college if they so wish.
Yes.
And that means that we have to look at those vocational programs again, which there was a huge step away from that. Huge step.
Yeah, for 30 years.
Yeah, everybody was going to
Yeah.
go to college. And I think even if you look in my own household, in my household, I have a doctorate. I went all the way through. My husband almost did not graduate from high school, but he managed. He has been a firefighter for the past 35 years. He's going to retire this year. And so we have that duality within our house. So I think, and he became that firefighter because of those CTE programs. He learned how to work on a diesel truck. And because he learned how to work on a diesel truck, one day he was at a fire station out here in El Cajon, Bostonia, and somebody asked him, "Hey, our fire engine is broken. Can you work on it?" "Yeah, I can work on it." That started its career at 18 years old. But we have stopped looking at those type of jobs in education. They were looked down upon, and now we have to go back. And I think that is that humanity and showing that every job, every career that a person can do here in our society is of value, and we
Yes.
need to make sure that they are paid a living wage to do this job of value.
Yeah, and I
And
think we're there. I think it's an
I hope so.
implementation issue. It's a what's the pressure is going to make us fall over for real,
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that pretty much our surveys are showing that we're there with you. We're there. Like
I
I'm
hope so.
seeing it in all the trade shows too. Like people selling gardening kits
Mm-hmm.
to kindergarten with the seeds and the videos and the training and the courses. People selling welding, right?
Mm-hmm.
Full courseware on welding. I'm seeing it. It's the where are they going to just execute and then have the outcome. So you're totally spot on with that. Right now, we're in the middle of the logistics. We're in the how do we get this done? And you're doing it in the social emotional area like I haven't really seen in a lot of places. So I want you to comment on the same thing. Like, what are your thoughts on what we're talking about here?
On a macro level, education is just a risk-averse, change-averse industry. One of the reasons is because those of us in the room that are using our credential for work still,
Yeah.
we've never been out of the school system. We were children, we went to middle school, then high school, then we went to college, then we went to get a credential, and right back into the school system. We have not been exposed to
the
the
world.
global economy and the world of work. And so when you ask educators to improve the system, we're going to improve the system that worked for us. Get a multiple subject credential, get a bachelor's degree, you know, that's just the mentality. Your story about your husband reminded me of my first conversation with Doug Williford. He's our retired city manager. And I asked the question, one of my first meetings with a big community leader, said, Doug, you oversee the fire, the police, public works, everything taxpayer funded in El Cajon except the schools. What would you have us do? And Doug looked at me and he said, Miyashiro, I'm going to give it to you. You need to stop stigmatizing labor. You need to stop stigmatizing the Marines and the naval base for the civilian and non-civilian jobs and opportunity for our kids. And in East County, we build San Diego. Construction developers, journeymen, public service. You know, there is nothing in your system that prepares your kids for the most important jobs, I would say, in not just our country, but in our local community. And I sat there.
Wow. That was a sobering moment.
It's like, what am I going to do with this information? But then after several conversations with the East County Chamber and other business leaders, they all had a version of the same story.
Yeah.
And so to try to translate that to our labor unions and our board would have been a bad idea. I wouldn't be able to do that. So I asked them to have community roundtables just to share. What do you see about the school system that needs to change? And our labor unions and our policymakers, they leaned in on, okay, well, we can't not hear what we just heard. How do we fix that? How do we create an opportunity for kids that if they want to work right out of high school, that we show them how to do that while they're still in high school?
Yeah.
And that's where the World of Work came from, the design. But it took the 5 board members at the time, they're completely different. Actually, all 5 are different now. And the community backing to say, we will support the school district if you prepare kids for the work opportunities right here. Because our businesses are starving for talent.
I love this story, though, on another level. I love the end of the story and what, like, the outcome and all that, but I love it for another reason, too. And that is, when you got the information that you needed to accept into your own heart to lead with, you didn't just turn around and run with it. You caused the people that really needed to back you up to hear it also from other than you. And I think this is where a lot of superintendents run into really a lot of hot water. They're not coalitionists. And in order to fall over the cliff to the vision of what you want to accomplish, which is the actual employability, and for you, your question of like, how are we going to fall over this cliff? It's being that. We all have to sort of become the mesh network. We have to be coalitionists. And literally most educators are trained to be sage on the stage, isolation monoliths, self-important. I'm just going to say it. I'm sorry you hate me now. But self-importance has no place anymore in education at all. Because if you're going to do that, you're going to fail. You're going to fail as a teacher. You're going to fail as a principal. You're going to fail as an institution, as a district-wide. Because society now is yearning. You can feel it. You can see it in the outcomes of social media, right? And Instagram and everything else people are doing all the time. Humanity is yearning for a coalitionist life. We want to come back together. Something happened from the agricultural age. Do you love that I'm preaching at you? Do you just love it? Do you just love it? Something happened. Anyway, let me just say this. Okay, agricultural age, hey, you just go back to what your grandmother talked about, right? Hanging out on the farm, the family is on the farm, dad was running the show, or mom was, or whatever, right? But there was family life, and then there was church life, there was local life, okay? And then we somehow got separated and cubicalized into, you go to that school as kid number 1, you're going to go to this middle school over here, kid number 3, you're going to be at this school over here, mom's got to go to work over there, and dad's got to go to work over there, and we're all living in this hurly-burly world of everybody running to and fro, blah, blah, blah. And I think after 150 years of that, we're tired. As humans, like a whole collective humanity, we're just sick and tired of that. And we're yearning for this meaningfulness. The ones who should be doing hands-on and make really great firefighter, God bless them, let's let them do that. Put them there, right? Let's make them that way. But let's have a new level of community and coalitionist and humanness that we let go of for too long. And we want it back. That's why it drives me crazy when people say, I'm taking everybody's phones away. You're going to do what? Right? I'm sorry. Like, let's have a purpose for that. Because right now, we're all yearning for communication. Yes, we need to teach kids how to be meaningful communicators and protect their own minds from the evil that is out there on the internet. I get it. But there's something going on with the yearning for human. And you're doing a great job of it. I want you to talk about what I just said. Like, what are your thoughts on that? I'm going way off the script, so let's just do it.
Well, let me say, something that really resonated with me is this idea of building coalitions, and I think that when you see the great work that David's done in El Cajon, I'm confident that's because of the coalition building, right? When I see the phenomenal work the county office is doing, it's because of the coalitions of folks they brought together to the table. In Carlsbad, my community is a little bit different, but we're actively seeking out those coalitions. We're trying really hard to bring folks, because lots of people have lots of different thoughts about lots of different things, right? Let's find the areas in which we can agree and bring them together.
Yeah.
So we're going down that path. In a time when society feels more divided than it's ever been before, the power of coalitions has perhaps never been greater.
Yes.
So I appreciate that you said that.
Yeah, I think it's really important. I see what you're doing with that. What will you say to what I just said?
Well, I've learned through a lot of mistakes. And so I think that as leaders, we need to, one, be able to course correct, because if we're going to take risks, there's going to be mistakes. One of them was we opened 3 computer science magnet schools in my first year, because when I got here, the hour of code was released, and then everyone was saying the jobs in computer science. So my thought, not knowing about the world of work, every kid's going to learn computer science in Cajon Valley. I met Ed Hidalgo. No, stop. We have so many engineers at Qualcomm that are being counseled out of their jobs because they were forced into them by this narrative of this is what you should be doing. The other thing I learned the hard way was that when we implemented one-to-one in Encinitas, I was the assistant superintendent there, 2008, I think. Tim, the superintendent, wanted to bring iPads. So he and I had this big vision of iPads in the classroom and apps and what kids would do. And so we went to the schools and we preached this vision. And implementation was rough. Yeah. It took a while to get actually good use of technology because it was in my head, it was in Tim's head. But we didn't bring our principals and especially the teachers along for the ideation.
I got it.
When I got here, learning from the past, what I needed to do was get our principals, our union leaders, and everyone involved to see what I saw that made me think we need to do something different. So that meant lots of field trips. Taking people to see rocket ship schools up north, Reed Hastings schools, taking them to Summit Public Learning. Some of the best places of blended personalized learning, so that the teachers come back and say, we have to do that. How do we do that? So, okay, let's plan it. Let's talk about it. I didn't come in with this vision of, this is what we're going to do. I learned the hard way. That's the wrong way to do it. It's building coalitions, helping people see what you see and come to that on their own.
Absolutely. So the real most key job is the job of communicator. Be the communicator. Yeah, Alicia, what are your thoughts coming in from the county? Because I've known you guys at the county level, like I said before. Like there's a lot of really good people. Some of them are retired now, and things have changed a lot. Like you said before, your whole vision has changed. This is really robust. What you said earlier. So when you look at the future, what do you need as a county from your districts? How are you leading the leaders?
I really don't see us leading the leaders. I see us doing a lot of listening to our districts.
Good.
I see this past quarter we have 42 school districts with San Diego County, 43 if you count our JCCS schools. And my team in innovation, we visited over 22, and we listened. What do you need from us? What we're finding that people need is they kind of want to go back to basics right now. A lot of people are burnt out on technology, and they're looking for that human connection. And what is that human connection, and how can we help bring that together? We hear our districts, they want to know what other districts are doing. They want to find out, hey, what's Carlsbad doing? What's Encinitas doing? What's El Cajon doing? And so they're looking for us to be that connector for them. We've started a lot of networks because people want to get together and talk about what others are doing. So it's weird because we have a lot of people that do want that hands-on, but more want that connection with others, and that's what we're finding. But again, I feel our job at the county is to support the districts, and so we can tell them what others are doing, we can help, we can advise, but a lot of times we're really connecting and bringing those ideas that others have brought forth. But one thing that they're all saying a lot of right now, everybody's wondering about AI. That's huge. So almost every district has said that, and they're also worried about how to get kids to school. And so we're working on that, getting kids to school, and then once they're at school, if they're using AI, what does that mean to them?
Awesome. Well, I want to just say how we've seen the research then define that, first, that yearning to go back. Mm-hmm. Okay? I would love it if you started thinking with and having them think with, going back is not to 10, 15 years ago. Going back is 150 years ago. Going back right now is to the one-room schoolhouse. It's nothing of what you have right now from the human side. But there's a caveat in this future. The future of the combined 5 types of AI, spatial temporal, with generative AI, which is what everybody talks about, and I'm kind of bored with right now. Mm-hmm. But the other one's embedded and embedded IoT, and then the voice, and then the recommendations engine. Once these all come together, and the flip side of that going back is a much more complex technological model, much more, in order to go back and do that even better than it was done 150 years ago. So the feeling and the urgency and the yearningness to be human, to slow things down, is real. Don't let people go in the direction of actually 10, 15 years ago. That would be a mistake. You have to do both now. You see that bifurcated road. My problem is not enough for seeing what technology is really going to be and do to, as an institution. You're going to lead through it and array your humanity behind that to its perfection. You're starting to see that right now. I know you're probably linking all the things you were sharing earlier. You're seeing how that is.
Oh, yeah.
But how deep does this go? I don't think a lot of superintendents are reaching out to figure that out yet.
Well, folks are talking about it. You know, I want to touch on, you know, one of the things that the county office does really well, and that is bringing folks together.
Yeah, you got to do. Yeah, you got to
right?
do that.
Right. And so on the AI topic, right? Like I know generative AI might not be the most exciting topic for everybody right now, but for some folks,
it's new. It's still new to them.
And they're looking for. They're looking for, you know, some sense of what's coming down the road. We need to be futurists. We need folks who are going to think not just about what this does today, but what this might do 10, 15, 20 years from now.
Yes.
And I think those are the most exciting conversations. At lunchtime, we were talking about the large shift that happened when the internet came to be, right?
Yeah, which is still happening.
It's still happening, right? but you know, it was a huge shift over time.
Yeah. It's not over yet.
No, so too will AI, right?
Yeah.
It's a huge shift over time. We're just only seeing the very, you know,
early parts.
Early stages of it right now. So how do we bring folks together to talk about what could be? Yeah.
Yeah, and I think of AI right now as like when phones first came out.
Yeah.
Like your wealth family had one, yours did too, his and mine didn't have one. We weren't part of the revolution for a long time. And then once it really took off, it was like the internet.
Yeah.
It was a totally different thing than where it started, and I think that's what's going to happen with AI.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, I love what everyone was talking about. I want to give final thoughts. I was totally off script of what I promised to ask you, but I think it was a good conversation. What are your final thoughts? If you were to reach out to all of our viewers way after this, what would you say is important to focus your attention on right now to other leaders in America? You want to start with that? David?
I'll just go back to our vision. Happy kids and healthy relationships on the path to gainful employment. If we're able to achieve our vision, we'll have happy grown-ups, gainfully employed, getting along well with one another in a politicized world. And so to be engaged, to be, happy and healthy, you can't be addicted to something, you can't be homeless, you can't be jobless. It's if we focus on that, then the other things will fix itself. So I think the key to humanity is returning, like you said, to the one-room schoolhouse, where it was about the individual kids.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
there was no stigma about what job you had after. There was actually a utility of designing school to fulfill labor needs.
Yes.
It's the world's different now.
Yeah.
But the design is the same.
Yeah, we need to change all that. It's a very deep change on so many deep levels, right? So I totally agree with you. All right, Alicia, what's your thoughts?
I think a lot about changing what it means to change education and really looking at true personalized learning. And I think I have a background both in higher ed and K-12, and I think about higher ed is great because students take the classes that they want and they reach mastery in the class that they want, and then they move to another class and they're building not by age, not by you're 14 so you must take algebra, but by interest and by skill, and then they master it and then they move on, and that's we don't have that in K-12, and we pigeonhole our students by age where they may not be ready for it. I kind of am in this unique situation where I raised I have identical triplets, which means they were all going to school at the same time, and I got to watch their growth at the same time. And I got to watch one excel in one thing, and I got to watch another excel in another, and another excel in another, and seeing that identical, same school, same parents, but very different skills.
This is like a science experiment. Your family.
It was.
It was awesome.
And yet they all met their milestones,
Yep.
but in very different ways. And that's not so different than every child in a classroom. Yet we tend to pigeonhole them.
But we were manufacturing them. Everybody be the same now.
Exactly.
You're all the same.
Exactly. You're all going to go to college. You're all going to do this.
So
And-
dumb. Like,
and
why
I-
were we so dumb before? Like, as a country,
I don't
like,
know.
why?
But I think, like, if I were really to want to look to the future, it would be we have to dismantle these systems that we have put in place and really look at who are we teaching? Who are we teaching?
Yes.
Not here, not right. Who are you? Where's your strength? That's why I love the RIASEC, and I love finding out, what's your strength and what's your interest. So I think we have to dismantle systems, and I don't know if that's ever going to happen. It's not going to happen in my educational
Oh,
career.
I'm going to make it happen.
But
oh, I'm going there.
but I think it will happen because we have to give families choice now because they've seen a different side.
Okay, let's have like a little pinky pact. You're going to change it so you want to change it so you achieve your goal, which
I
is
would
beyond your purpose, right? Your purpose is to educate, but you want to achieve economic parity. And
Yeah.
okay, so that's a pretty deep thing. I want to see this change
Yeah.
in the next 10 years. I'm going to see it. I'm going to make it happen. You guys are going to help me. Everybody I meet's going to help me, right? Because it's going to. I'm real about where I know it's going to go and where I know the technology is going. I'm watching it like a hawk. It's just going to be a matter of now creating that moment of avalanche.
Yep.
It's just a critical mass that's needed. That's all that's needed, and the thinking is already there. You know it. You're doing everything you can. We haven't quite found the thing that's going to take us over the edge of the cliff, but it's about to be here. I'm just telling you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty confident of that. And then everybody goes together. It's just like we just get your sled and just go down the hill, like on his video with the kids in the snow. Okay, final thoughts from you.
Yeah, final thought really is something that we're all working on, is to ensure that every kid, when they leave our system,
Yeah.
has an attainable plan for what comes next, right? So thinking
Wow.
through for every kid, whatever life after K-12 looks like, right?
Yeah.
Whether you're going to trade school or a 2-year community college or a 4-year university, whether you're going into military service, whether you're going directly into the world of work. wherever you're going next, you have to have a plan,
Oh, yeah.
and it has to be attainable. You need to know and understand what it takes to get there, right? So when we start thinking about that as the ultimate outcome, right, we measure a ton of things. We look at college going rates, we look at college persistence rates. We have all these metrics that many folks in the community find very valuable, right? Look, 80% of our students go on to college directly after high school. That's great, but that shouldn't be the goal. That shouldn't be the target. It should be whatever the young person's choice is. They have a plan and they can attain it and they know what to do.
So you're taking the definition of diversity to its natural conclusion. Everyone
Yep.
for themselves, what's
Yep.
right for them,
Yep.
regardless of any other definition of diversity.
That's
The
right.
human population, each being is a unique being.
Yep.
That's what they are.
Yep.
I love this fact. Well, this has been a super delightful conversation. I loved it. And I think just really brilliant minds here on this panel today. So thank you very much. Let's all give them a round of applause. Thank you very much. Woo! That was great. Okay. All right. So until next time, thank you guys very much for being with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.